Termites. It's night 10. What are we drinking? A little Sam Adams Holiday White Ale. Spicy. Pretty good. Pretty delicious. I like my tree. It's real. I don't go for the fake trees. Although, I will say at Lowe's, there's some pretty good fake trees. Fake trees have come a long way. I don't judge on that. I just like a real tree. And then I have all my little ornaments. I don't know if you can see, there's a pot one that Ron White got me. There's some really, I try to get one everywhere I go on the road. There's Vail, because I did a corporate gig. There's Grant's Farm, all kinds of stuff. And the bubble lights, the very old school. They're hard to find, but Amazon had some a while ago. I don't know if they still do. This book's heating up. We left off Termites. Have you gotten your tree, or are you waiting until this weekend? For those of you that don't care and don't do it, I understand that too. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but it's fun when it's up. We're about to get into a massive green bean fight. That's what I remember. Loretta's going to do that. I'm going to start. I probably started here already, but I'm going back just so we get reset. Another scene out of my life that never made it into my first book, and my movie was Dew's Green Bean Rampage. I always can food during the garden season. I had 2 cookers that were used for canning beans. I put beans inside mason jars and put the jars inside the pots. I put towels over the bottom of the pot so the jars wouldn't bust. This one time, I got up at 4 a.m. and canned green beans that I picked from my garden. I worked all day to put up 100 quarts. Oh my God. Dew came in tired, hungry, and drunk. Supper wasn't ready because I'd spent all my time canning, and Dew was furious about it. He began to throw them quarts of green beans. They probably weighed 2 pounds each. And if a person threw them hard enough and hit somebody in the head, they might kill them. Yeah, I would think that would be the result if you hit them in the right spot. Dew threw them hard enough to dent my new refrigerator. Oh my God. It was one of the first new things I ever owned in my house. Each time he threw a quart, it exploded all over the kitchen. I was screaming because I was afraid of the breaking glass was going to cut me or one of the kids. The kids were scared half to death, and I run them into the front room to get them out of the firing line. Drew just kept getting madder and throwing harder until he broke all 100-quart jars. Then he stomped out of the house. Green beans was stacked up on the kitchen floor, up past the refrigerator door. They was on the walls. They was in the windowsill. They was stuck to the ceiling. Dear God. I cried and shoveled beans for hours. I put the beans in a wheelbarrow and pushed them into a place behind our outdoor toilet. Well, you could have kept them. The birds ate the beans, and a lot of the beans rotted. If the birds ate them, they probably flew off to die. When all the beans was gone, I hand-picked the broken glass and threw it away in a big oil barrel so none of the children would get cut. During this same trauma, he ran his fist through a glass cabinet, too. Oh, wait, during this same tantrum, he ran his fist through a glass cabinet, too. It was a real pretty cabinet, and I wished I still had it because I bet it'd be worth some money. But Dew got so mad at my screaming that he was ready to punch me out. Instead, he turned around and put his fist through glass. 6 months later, his hand was still hurting, and the doctor ended up digging a piece of glass out of him. What a charmer. I don't know where Dew went after his outburst. That's a little more than an outburst. Probably somewhere to get supper and more whiskey. My old neighbors, Harlan and Edna Brown and the Green brothers, put out the word that I needed food to put up and mason jars to put it up in. People from all over the area started stopping by until I had fresh vegetables and jars coming out of my ears. I turned right around and started canning again. That's it. You show him. You just start again. That's the way we usually handled Dew's drunken temper tantrums. We just went on like nothing happened. That's healthy. Communication had always been a problem in our family, and even all these years later, I still fear it is. There's sometimes I know my kids and me should have more heart-to-heart talks than we do. Where would you start? That's the problem. Chapter 7, I often threw the first punch. Okay. After Ernest Ray was born, I took a notion to have another baby, and I wanted another girl. I took a notion. I'm going to start saying that. I got to get gone because I took a notion that I got to get to the bar. 10 months later, I had Sissy. She came 2 weeks early. Sissy was one of them kids. It was a pure joy to be around. She was always happy and positive, and she knew how to work her daddy, too. Times when Betty Sue would dig her heels in and end up in trouble with Dew, Sissy would start to cry a little, and he'd soften up. Of course, she was the baby of the family for 9 years, and she liked that position just fine. She still likes it. Her and Patsy, the youngest twin, fight all the time who's the real baby of this family. I took to being a mother a lot more natural than being a wife. Well, it's pretty hard when people are throwing green beans at you in a jar. Probably because I'd help with all my brothers and sisters. I'd even wanted to bring my sister Peggy Sue with me to Washington State back before I left on that train. Of course, my mom and daddy wouldn't even listen to that kind of talk. You just shut up. After Sissy came, there was one time I got so mad at Dew for staying out that I was ready to pack up the kids and try to get back to Kentucky on my own. Oh no, don't do it. 2 of Dew's friends played roles in this story. As much as them Green brothers liked me and cared about me, they'd run off with Dew when he was in a woman-chasing mood. As easy as not. And my boss, Ernest Crandall, looked out for my husband as well. Men will usually stick together, stick up for each other, especially if they're protecting a friend's right to run around on his wife. I liked Mr. Crandall so much, but when push came to shove, it was Dew he backed. Well, good to know what team he's on. Give him a jersey. He gets the Dew jersey. I started picking strawberries early on in our years in Washington State, mainly because it put actual cash in my pocket. It was a seasonal job, but for a few weeks a year, I had cash money. That's right. The strawberry pickers got paid by the carrier, which is a wood box that holds 8 quarts of berries. Each time I picked a carrier, the man punched a ticket that I took down the road and traded for cash. The man who had the cash was Mr. Crandall. With money in my pocket, I started to get a little more backbone. That's right. One year during strawberry season, I caught Bob Green and Dew smuggling up with 2 local Indian girls. What? I pitched such a fit that for once Dew believed I might actually walk out on him. Dew was so afraid I'd leave him and take the kids with me that he took them to bed with him. Well, it's not going to stop me, but all right. This news got around, and by week's end, when I went to trade in my ticket, Ernest Crandall wouldn't give me the money. Oh, well, because we know he's on Dew's team. That's right. Like everybody else, he had suspicions that I'd use the money to leave Dew. Would I have gone if I'd gotten the money? Yes, but without cash, there was nothing I could do. When I finally cooled off, Mr. Crandall started giving me cash again. Oh, dear God. But I started understanding something then. Women who have money of their own got choices. That's exactly right. And having choices is mighty important. I think women try a lot of tricks to get their men to stop drinking and cheating. I remember one time I did nothing but make a fool out of myself trying to make a point. Strawberry picking season was underway, and Dew invited a bunch of the pickers to our house to drink beer. One of the pickers was a woman I knew he'd been sleeping with. Oh, my God. And I thought I'd give Dew a taste of his own medicine. Maybe I'd have a beer and smile at a man or two. There you go. You show him. Trouble is, I can't drink. Well, yep, bad plan then. I only had 4 swallows of beer. Some people can gargle that much. It wasn't long before I headed to the door and threw up all over. I didn't even have a chance to flirt with nobody, not when you're vomiting. I did nothing but cause Dew to break up the party. He dragged me into the kitchen, run a full sink of water, grabbed me by the hair, and shoved my face in the sink. Oh, my God. He knew how scared I was of water. He held my head under until I began to choke. Then he yanked me by the hair until I caught my breath. As soon as I did, he pushed my head back under the water. He said he was sobering me up. He got the kids out of bed at 10 o'clock that night. They were all still little. Look at your old drunk mother, he said. And, of course, he was dog drunk himself. Ain't she a sight? Ain't you kids proud to have a drunk for a mother? It's a sorry story, but true. Still, I worry that people who read Coal Miner's Daughter or saw the movie think I'm some helpless woman who couldn't and wouldn't take up for myself. My foot! That's the whole sentence with an exclamation point. My foot. I think she means bullshit, but she went, my foot. I guess. Dew was not the only one in the family who could turn mean as a snake. His brother Jimmy, who'd been one of my best friends throughout life, recently reminded me that I was often the one who threw the first punch. Remember, I was the only girl amongst a bunch of brothers. I was always a scrapper, and I fought with more folks than Dew, which brings me to another scene you never saw in Coal Miner's Daughter. One time, A woman and her husband moved from Missouri, to Washington to be close to her parents. The Missouri woman was picking strawberries with me and mentioned that they didn't have no place to live. Since there was empty rooms on the second floor of the house Dew and me was living in, I said they could stay for a while until they got on their feet. That was a dumb move. Anyhow, this old gal got mad because she thought I had my record player cranked up too loud. Dew had bought me a Hank Williams record for our anniversary. What a sweetheart. I was playing it over and over for some friends from the strawberry patch. I thought the girl had nerve and complained about me in my own house. I don't mind being asked to do something, but I hate being told to do something. And I wouldn't take being ordered to do something from anybody, not to this day. That's another reason me and Dew fought. If he demanded that I do something, I'd say no just to be contrary. He might eventually get his way, but it was after a fight. Anyway, this woman told me to turn my loud music off. I told her to go off and pick some fruit. It's quite a threat. Why don't you just go off and pick some fruit? I sure wasn't expecting her to jump me, but that's what she did. Look at Missouri getting all crazy. I was sitting down and she was standing up. Darned if she didn't haul off and hit me. Then she started pulling me around the room by my hair. Here's one big truth about a fight. You can't hit anyone when you've got long hair and they're pulling you by it. That's true. You don't see that in UFC. That's why nobody has long hair, I bet. They're out of reach. Sitting down didn't help me much either. She kept pulling my hair and I kept trying to pull away, which just hurt worse. Yeah, because she's got your hair. Then I saw a butcher knife on the cabinet. Oh my God. And was able to struggle within arm's reach of it. I grabbed it in one sweep and put the blade against her. Lordy, it must have been Grandpa Ramey coming out in me. She's blaming her Indian side. Turn me loose or I'll put this right through you, I told her. I ain't sure I would have done it, but she didn't know that. You can sure get somebody's attention quick when you got the butcher knife. She turned me loose and I stood straight up. Bet the old gal thought I was mean enough to shave her head. I threw her out of my house and told her to go mooch off somebody else. She packed up and left, taking a beautiful rose pattern crochet doily my mama made. I never could prove she stole it, but I sure thought at the time she did. I got off with just a bruise or two, but I had to admit she bested me until I got that knife in my hand. She did that just because she got the first lick, the first punch. If you get that first punch, you're likely to win. Some good motherly advice. I've gotten plenty of first punches and plenty of wins. I ain't proud of this story or the next one, but this one has a good ending, so I got to tell it anyway. I was sitting at home rocking Ernest with Ray one night. Sissy wasn't more than 2 months old. I remember my hair was up in pin curls because Dew promised to take me out for the first time in a long time. Dew come in drunk, singing and raising the Dickens. Never heard that before. Raising the Dickens. He was also carrying a bottle of whiskey. First thing he says, he's going to turn right around and go somewhere. You promised I could go out with you tonight, I said, and put Ernest Ray down. Dew shook his head and yanked out one of my pin curls. That fired me up. I knew darn well he was on his way to see some woman. I hauled off and I hit him squarely on his mouth, knocking out his 2 front teeth. You go, girl. That's a mean punch, boy, to knock out somebody's front teeth. Holy shit. I was actually aiming at his shoulder and missed. Them teeth shot out of his mouth and blood went everywhere. I could still hear him hitting the floor and bouncing. Pop, pop, pop. Wow, don't you know this is going to be so expensive to fix? Dear God. Or just don't, I guess. Just don't. For a second, I thought he'd kill me. Fortunately, he was hurting too bad and went yelling and jumping around the room. The baby was crying, the blood was splurting, and I was getting ready to duck. Truth is, Dew was lucky to be drunk that night since it probably eased some of the pain. Finally, he yelled that we needed to find him a dentist. Who's going to put them teeth back in it this hour? It's going out time. It's not dentist time. The closest telephone was at a neighbor's nearby farmer's house, so we all traipsed over there. What is that line from a boy named Stu about the mud, the blood, and the beer? In our case, it was the booze, the blood, and the babies. And the teeth. What about the teeth? All invading some farmer's house at 3 a.m. to call a dentist. I need my teeth pulled. My teeth. And they wrote it like that, T-E-E-F-F. He told the dentist, which was probably still half asleep. Of course, Dew was talking about the roots, which was still in there with the nerves exposed and hurting. Oh, my God. The dentist couldn't understand Dew, but Dew could understand the dentist. who was telling him he wasn't come out of his house to do no dentist at that hour. Dude started yelling into the phone, threatening to kill him. I guess the dentist believed he'd do it because he finally said he'd come on over. The dentist got the last word because we had to pay him on the installment plan. What did I tell you? This is not a good plan. For a long time, dude went without 2 front teeth. He looked like an 8-year-old boy who lost his baby teeth. His smile was real ugly. He looked so bad he didn't take up with any other woman until we got enough money to pay for his false teeth, and that was several months later. It tickled me half to death. You know what? Sometimes it's better to not talk about things. Just don't. I don't know that you could talk this through. I knocked out your front teeth, and I'm pretty happy because now I know you're not going to be misbehaving. Seemed like we was worse off as the years went by in Washington. We lived in 3 different houses while we lived there, and the last 2 was nothing compared to the Greens place. But when dude decided he needed to live someplace else, we just packed up and we was gone. One of the houses was a 2-room weighing station for the coal mine way back in a place where there had been mines, and there was still sinkholes as big as whales. I had to walk about a half mile down into this old mine where there was water dripping for our drinking water. Okay, this is why country music is better from these people. Because they live it. I could never write a song about, remember when I had to get the water dripping from the old mine? Nope. Don't have a memory of that. And they do. That's why do you think Carrie Underpants, as I call her, Carrie Underwood, do you think she's ever had to do these things? No. The new ones, I don't feel live the life that brings country music its real thing. The kids had to walk a mile just to catch a school bus. One thing I do, it was the one thing Dew left us. It was one thing when Dew left us for a week at a time when we lived down the road from the Greens. We lived real close to the Bachelors, and I knew I wouldn't starve. It was another thing when we was out there in this old shack of a coal station. The fellow who owned the place used to come around when Dew wasn't there. He'd come up there drunk and run around the house about a dozen times. What kind of whiskey were these people drinking? I must have been around 17. She's only 17 at this point. She's already knocked her husband's teeth out. They've moved 3 times. She's getting water from a coal mine well that's closed, which I'm sure that was safe. Holy shit. I remember I didn't have any money to buy Betty Sue no underpants, so I ended up making panties from old dresses. There wasn't no elastic, so I'd pin them together with safety pins. I'd say, and that's a good time to have another baby. Why not? I have a notion I want another baby. This one doesn't have underwear. Let's slow down. I'd say, now, honey, don't get on them bars and hang upside down today. The kids will see you don't have real panties on. Betty Sue never listened to me no more than she listened to Dew. She'd be hanging on the bars right off. I'd swear she'd just as soon show you her hind end as her face. She wasn't afraid of nothing. Never was. One time, my old friend Blanche come all the way to see us. She brought milk and bread and beef. I thought it was heaven. She couldn't stand to see us living like that. Who knows? Maybe the fact that we seem to be going downhill is what Dew got thinking about me singing for money. I think that's a good place to stop. That's a lot to digest. Green beans being thrown around the house, mason jars, and teeth being knocked out. Shoo, buddy, as Ron White would say. Shoo, buddy. It's some hard living. That's why these songs mattered. Because they talked about shit that had happened. What's Carrie Underpants going to sing about? I went on American Idol and won. It's not very hard. Well, it's hard to do that, but it's not hard living. By the way, I painted my fingernails red and green. I never paint my fingernails, but I did it for Christmas. I find it distracting because I don't usually, but now I'm starting to like it. Oh, termites. Well, the vaccine is right around the corner, so they say. So that's good news. And it's getting cold. It's 47 degrees here. Snowed a little. Didn't stick, but it snowed. Put a video up. There's termite shirts left. Your Storytime shirts are left. And there's podcast ones. We're out of some of the smaller sizes, so I need you chubbier termites to step up. I didn't spend all that extra money for nothing. You know what I'm saying? I ate that cost. I expect you chubs to step it up. That's it. I don't even have one. They were supposed to send me one. As soon as I get one, I'll wear it. But I ain't got one. And I think it's time for me to get gone. As Tanya would say, I got to get gone. And then I forgot what she said. I was going to add that. My foot. This means bullshit. Hillbilly for bullshit. My foot. All right, termites, pull your sheets up. I heard your comments on flannel sheets. Some people said yes, some people said no, too hot. I don't know. A friend of mine had them when I slept at his house, and I liked it. Never bought them, though. Maybe I'll do it now. Why not? There's nothing else to do in COVID. All right. Pull your sheet up. Know that you're a worthy termite. You're a holiday termite. Even if you're not doing nothing, it's within you. I know it. It's time for Hallmark movies. We'll talk about that a little later. Lifetime has good Christmas movies, so does Netflix now. Everybody's got them. And everybody's copying, too. There's a lot of hacking going on in that world. I don't even know how people aren't suing each other. It's so hack. You're like, this is the same premise I just saw, except this one's got Candace Creme Brulee, or whatever her fucking name is. She's Kirk Cameron's completely crazy. It's his sister. It's hard for me to get that out of my mind when I watch Candace Creme Brulee. All right, termites, pull your sheet up. You cozy? You ready? Night-night, termites.